Good evening. Welcome to Divine Speech in African Traditionalism. I am your host, Augustine Ayinibisah, Ayelah. Before I do anything, I have to seek permission to speak. I rise before my father and my mother. I rise before my grandfather and my grandmother, whom I call my ancestors. I rise before the deities, the land deities, the water deities, and the sky deities. I rise before the goddesses, especially the goddess Ma'at, to give me wisdom to conduct this interview with this learned person so that we don't offend anybody. Finally, I rise before the gods and the supreme being, Amen-Ra or Amen-Re, the one my tradition calls Nawene, to give me strength so that I can conduct this interview with wisdom in adherence to Africa's mystery system. With this prayer, I know I'm permitted to speak. Today we have a man from a different religious background with extraordinary foresight and intellectual ability to analyze religious concepts and their antecedents. For the first time, I've met a Muslim who I can draw on his knowledge of the Nile Valley and high culture and assign meaning to modern religious terminologies and practices. When we talk about African traditionalism, there are Christians in Africa who have not completely abandoned tradition, as well as Muslims. The situation in Darfur is because of the fact that Darfuris refuse to abandon the only semblance of traditionalism that they hold dear as indigenous Africans. Today, I'm honored to have my brother, Mr. Zain Omar, to give explanatory power to these dynamics taking place in Africa and in the diaspora. Mr. Zain Omar, welcome to Divine Speech.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having me here. It's a great pleasure.
Even though I've made a brief introduction, please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to acquire this knowledge about the different concepts of religion and how it goes back to the original land where everything began.
Interesting. Again, thank you for having me. My name is Zain Omar. I was in Egypt for 4 years, studied archaeology about Asian Africans. I came to understand where the religions that we have today originated from. Genetically connected to all Africans, from being a Muslim, being a Christian or Jewish, all derived from an African theosophical doctrine, as I would say. When we look at it today, the perfection and civilization of this world did not just start from anywhere else but from the continent of Africa. We are not fortunate to get advantage or privilege of this civilization because we have not really put years to study who we are or the knowledge of self or thyself. Thank God, thank Amore, thank Allah, I was able to do a lot of reading, and I'm glad to be here to share some of it with you so that my fellow brothers and sisters can also go home. You don't have to believe. Go home and read and do your own research as an African.
So basically, you are self-taught.
Exactly.
So it's not like a matter of going to a classroom, studying things. You're looking at things from your own worldview and trying to analyze them, trying to figure out where you're going to get answers.
Where I will get the answer, that's right. My perspective, when it comes to education, it depends on how you define education. Well, from my readings, I found that education actually is knowledge, which had to do with your knowledge of self, who you are.
Good.
Today we live in a Western world where they talk about education, they define it as having a skill or profession. I say that is trained. You get trained to be a doctor, you get trained to be an engineer. But when you talk about education, you have to start from knowledge of self, who you are. I'm African.
Right.
I am the flesh and the soul of the sun, which is the S-U-N.
Right.
I'm dark because I'm a flesh and soul of the sun.
Right.
I'm African. It's a name that refers to the same thing. It's Africa with a K-A.
Right.
So Af is a kemet, it's a flesh. So we got Re, which is in the grammar, you can be called Ra, the sun. And we have Ka, which is the soul.
Right.
So I'm Africa. I'm the flesh and soul of the sun.
My goodness.
That's how I define education.
Brother Omar, what is Islam? Where did the religion originate, and who were the principles at the time of its inception?
Islam is not a name where it's given for a certain particular group of people. Islam is anybody, individual, submit himself or herself to do the will of God.
Right.
There's a lot of people interpreting it, they have to be a Muslim to be Islam. That's not right. That's not true. A Jewish can be Islamic.
Okay.
A Christian can be called Islam. So as far as you submit yourself to do the will of God, accept there's a spiritual force on earth. There is God.
Right.
There is God that people call Allah. There is God that people call Amore.
Okay.
That is how you define Islam. However, when you call yourself a Muslim, that means you are some individual that submit yourself or herself to the will of God, however, with the practical of Muhammad.
All right.
So basically, Muhammad's practical experience of religion, then you become a Muslim. So that's how we have the differentiation with a lot of people.
Okay.
Now, the word Islamic is an Arabic word.
Right.
Now, the Arabic word is not from the Arabs today. We call them Arabs. The Arabs are originally from Africa,
Right.
which today they call the Yemenis.
All right.
But they are part of the Ethiopian. They have a history of 25th century. Actually, to be easy for everybody, they are the people of Sheba. They are the group of people that migrated from Abyssinia, went to stay in a small place called Yemen.
Right.
And desert. That's why they come out with the name Arab, people that live in the desert. Now, those people are African people of Sheba.
Right.
That's the word come from Islam. Now, when Abraham also happens to be Islam, because education of Africa, when his son Ismail went to Hijaz and built the Kaaba,
Right.
these are the rules he set up for them to be Islamic. You have to do the circumambulation, which is going around the Kaaba.
Right.
Assist the people that comes to Kaaba for pilgrimage.
Okay.
Sacrifice, charity, and accept monotheism. These are the rules that Abraham set up for the people when he built the Kaaba with his son. These are the similar rules that we have when he went to Africa and studied as well. So the main people of Arabs are not the Arabs today, the Africans.
Okay.
Who there's a tribe called Juhum. The tribe happened to go to the Saudi Peninsula, which is called Saudi Arabia today.
Right.
There was nobody in that land. That's where they met Hagar, which in Arabic Islam we call it Hajara.
Right.
That's where they met Hagar and Ishmael. So Ishmael did not speak Arabic. He's not an Arab. He learned Arabic from the people of Juhum.
This is deep.
Thank you, sir.
Whereas Africans in the diaspora are drawn to African traditionalism, Africans on the mainland are rather drawn to foreign religious systems. Why is it so?
Africans are caught up with the foreign religion. It's again part of lack of knowledge, lack of identifying who they are. We are very powerful people. Out of us, Greek became what it is today.
Right.
Out of us, Romans became what they are today. The Western world became, even America out of us became what became today. Now, as an individual, if you don't have a knowledge of who you are, you're going to be an individual. It's like being a molecule just roaming around.
Right.
Can't come out.
Right.
For you to come out, you have to identify yourself of who you are. You're a powerful individual, being an African. You are the founder of the world civilization from the king of Asa that you call, or Osiris. So, again, we will still be in the mentality of believing the Western religion, Islam, and being a Muslim and Christian. There's nothing wrong with that. As far as you believe in God, there's nothing wrong with you being a Christian. There's nothing wrong with being a Jewish. There's nothing wrong with being a Muslim. Because the formula just happens to be different.
Right.
I always tell my boys, I say 3 plus 4 is what? It's 7. 5 plus 2 is always 7. 6 plus 1 is always 7. The result ends up at 7. So what makes you think you are better than the other 7? At the long bottom line is you accept there is a spiritual force. There is God.
Right.
There's Omar. There's Allah.
Right.
No matter how formula you use, as far as there's no blood or nothing involved into it, you shall get the blessing of Allah.
I hate to allow us to go off without commenting on what is happening in Africa right at this moment. Let us start with the demonstrations in Senegal against the Supreme Court decision to allow President Wade to run for a 3rd term. What's your take on that?
I heard about that. I saw that on the news, and I saw quite a demonstration going on regarding that. That's a sign of civilization that is coming in Africa now, especially the youth. The time has come to change.
Right.
We have our fathers, our leaders, excuse me to say, have quite disappointed us. Let's say 3 grandfathers or fathers behind, they really, really disappointed us.
Right.
After many years, we the youth have come to realize that we need to wake up. Now, what's going on in Senegal, it could be either, again, lack of knowledge or greediness. Because when I remember when he came to power, or before he came to power, he was really talking about democracy.
Yes.
If I remember very well.
Yes.
He was really proud of the democracy in Senegal. Now, after 2nd term, and you're talking for the 3rd term, I can tell you what is exactly going about to get rid of him.
So this, the old saying that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, is this what is happening now?
As an individual who is having knowledge or intelligent, should be able to see what the history has been doing lately regarding people that try to control their land. He should have been able to realize that. He just witnessed Gaddafi.
Right.
Is that not a common knowledge for you to see what is going on that it could apply to you?
Even especially at this moment, that demonstrations would be like, you know, a firestorm across the globe.
So there's something going on with the mind of African leaders. They're quite disappointed. They really. We have them all from what? Top universities in Europe, top universities in America. And we have them ruling Africa for many years. And look at the condition we live in. Again, I'll go back to the knowledge of self, identity of thyself. The #1 school being created on earth by Horus, the son of Osiris, was know thyself. And what a coincidence, Freemasonry also have a logo for know thyself.
Right.
Why are we not having knowledge of knowing thyself? All you have to do, you get a 2nd term, the next page have to be opened by somebody else.
Right. And plus, the bottom line is, if nobody else practices that, take that position and use it, they will never get the experience. You cannot live forever in Senegal